FC6A250 series hydraulic automatic transmission disassembly. Fix the transmission on a rotary trolley. Cut off the harness fixing strap. Disconnect the relevant connectors of the harness. Use a 4mm Allen wrench to remove G1 plug on controller. Use an 18mm socket spanner to remove fixing bolt of J3 plug. Remove the controller. To lower the transmission and place it vertically, remove the torque converter plug with a 19mm Allen wrench. Remove hexagon bolt of torque converter unit hole with a 17mm Allen wrench. Remove the torque converter assembly with a lifting tool. To lower the transmission and make the oil pan face up, remove the retarder valve with an 18mm socket spanner. Remove the main control valve with a 13mm socket spanner. Remove oil temperature sensor of the torque converter and remove the main control valve partition panel with a 13mm socket spanner. Remove 6 solenoid valves with a 13mm socket spanner. Attention! Before disassembling the solenoid valve, it must be numbered and recorded for subsequent installation. Use a 13mm socket spanner to remove the magnetic filter cover and take out the magnetic filter. Remove the fixing bolt of oil pan with a 16mm socket spanner. Remove the fixing bolt of oil pan with the 13mm socket spanner. Remove the oil pan. Use a 1 5/8 inch spanner to remove tubing assembly. Remove the bypass line with an 18mm spanner. Use a 16mm socket spanner to remove the magnetic filter cover. Cut off the tie wrap and remove the oil level sensor with a 5mm Allen wrench. Disconnect the connector. To lower the transmission and place it vertically, remove the fastening bolts and nuts between the torque converter housing and retard housing with an 18mm socket spanner. Pay attention to the position of the special bolt. Install 2 lifting lugs at one hole of the centerline partial oil pan and remove torque converter housing assembly with a lifting tool. Remove the paper washer and sealing ring. Remove the retarder assembly with a lifting tool. Lift the retarder assembly and put the input shaft to separate retarder assembly and C1 clutch assembly. Clamp the snap ring with plier on C2 clutch backplate and take out the C2 clutch backplate. Take out the C2 clutch spline plate. Take out 3 friction plates and 3 dew plates in the C2 clutch. Remove 6 fastening bolts of the sealing ring holder and pull out 6 bolts with magnet. Take out the C2 clutch hub. Remove sealing ring holder. Take out the sealing ring. Use a T40 inverted torque spanner to remove bolts and take out the pleasure plate. Take out the spring, piston, and related seals. Take out the sun gear. Use an 18mm socket spanner to remove the multi-pipe cover fastening bolts and remove the multi-pipe cover. Take out 4 springs. Take out 4 friction plates and 5 dew plates in the C3 clutch. Take out thrust bearing and spring. Take out the first layer planet carrier assembly. Take out the thruster washer and sealing ring. Take out the C3 clutch piston. Assemble support tooling to prevent the gear ring from falling off. Use a 16 mm socket spanner to remove the oil filter assembly. Turn over the transmission, flange up. Remove 2 output speed sensors. Remove the fixing bolt of back cover with an 18 mm socket spanner. Remove rear cover assembly with a lifting tool and take out the C5 piston. Remove steel washer and sealing ring. Take out the central shaft and the thruster bearing. Take out 4 springs. Take out 7 friction plates and 8 dual plates of C5 clutch. Remove the second layer planet carriers. Rotate the angle and remove the clutch backplate. Take out 4 springs. Take out 4 friction plates and 5 dual plates of C4 clutch. Take out gear ring. Take out the C4 clutch piston. Disassembly of the rear cover subassembly. Lift the rear cover subassembly, remove output flange bolts, and take out pleasure plate and flange plate. Remove oil seal. Push out the third layer planet carriers. Take out speed measuring rotor. Disassembly of the third layer planet carrier subassembly. Withdraw the planet shaft spring pin with tooling. Take out planetary gear and related accessories. Disassembly of C1 clutch subassembly. Remove the C1 clutch snap ring. Take out pleasure plate and gear hub. Take out 5 friction plates and 5 dual plates of C1 clutch. Compress the C1 spring, remove the snap ring, take out the C1 spring and the pleasure plate. Take out the C1 piston. Disassembly of the torque converter assembly. Use a 16 mm socket spanner to remove the cover bolts. Take out the cover. Take out the piston and seal. Take out the spline plate, 2 friction plates and 2 dual plates of the lockup clutch. Take out the back plate. Take out the torsional damper. Take out the thruster bearing. Take out the guide roller. Take out the thruster bearing. Remove the S fixing bolts with a 10 mm Allen wrench. Remove the guide roller support. Disassembly of FC6A250 series hydraulic automatic transmission is completed. FC6A250 series hydraulic automatic transmission assembly. Assembly notes. All parts must be cleaned before assembly and no residual stains, water stains, etc. on the parts. All disassembled seals cannot be used again and must be replaced with new ones. The transmission lubricating oil must be applied when the sealing ring is assembled. All bolts tightening sequence must be performed in accordance with standard requirements. All bolts should be tightened according to the marked torque. All lip-type seals have direction and must be installed correctly during assembly. All thruster bearings have the installation direction and must be installed correctly when assembling. During the assembly process, it's necessary to protect all parts processing surfaces to make sure they are clean and free of scratches. Torque converter assembly. Place the pipe impeller base on the tooling and install the sealing ring at the pipe impeller base. Install the pipe impeller to the base. Install the guide roller support. Fasten the bolts with a 10 mm Allen wrench and tighten the torque to 100 Nm. Attention! The bolt tightening sequence is diagonally tightened. Install thrust bearing. Install the guide roller. Install the one-way clutch. Pay attention to the opening of W spring towards the axis. Install the pleasure plate. Install the snap ring to fix. Install thrust bearing. Install torsional damper. Install ceiling ring and back plate. Install ceiling ring and spline plate. Install 2 friction plates and 2 dual plates in sequence. Install piston seal. Put in the piston. Install thrust bearing and gland. Apply the lubricating oil to the piston groove of the upper cover and install the ceiling ring. After applying grease to the pleasure plate, install it on upper cover. Install the upper cover. Fasten the bolt with a 16 mm socket spanner. The tightening torque is 16 Nm. The third layer planet carrier assembly. Put the output shaft into the planet carrier and lift the planet carrier. Install 4 sets of planet wheels, thrust washers, needle bearings, and planet shafts. Pay attention to the direction of the planet shafts. Push in 4 spring pins. Install the inner ring holder. C2 clutch hub assembly. Install clutch hub ceiling ring and apply lubricating oil. Install C2 piston seal. Install C2 piston. Install spring. Install the pleasure plate ceiling ring. Install the pleasure plate and fasten the bolts with a T40 inverted torque spanner. Tightening torque is 28 Nm. Install the ceiling ring. Install the ceiling ring holder. Install the ceiling ring. Hit the inner ring of the bearing and push in the ceiling ring holder. Measure the height difference between 2 plates, limited to 29.9 plus minus 0.4 mm. Assembly of C1 clutch assembly. Install the ceiling ring and apply lubricating oil. Install the C1 piston seal. Install piston. Install spring and pleasure plate. compress C1 spring, press fit snap ring. Install the spline plate snap ring. Install thrust bearing and spline plate. Install 5 friction plates and 5 dual plates in sequence. Install pedal plate. Install snap ring to fix. Transmission assembly. Fix the transmission housing on a rotary trolley. Install support tooling to prevent the gear ring from falling off. Turn over the transmission and install the ring gear. Install the inner and outer sealing rings on the C4 piston. Attention! The groove side of the sealing ring faces the piston boss side. Apply lubricating oil to the joint surface. Install the piston with the flight surface upward. Install hot C4 clutch dual plates. Install 4 friction plates and 3 dual plates in sequence. Install 4 springs and spring holder, small ends down. Install hot C4 clutch dual plates. Install the C4 clutch backplate and turn the backplate to align both holes. Fix the C4 clutch backplate with 2 bolts to hold still. Install the second layer planet carriers. Install thrust bearing with inner ring facing outward. Install the central shaft assembly. Install hot C5 clutch dual plate. Install 7 friction plates and 6 dual plates in sequence. Install 4 springs and spring holder, small end upward. Install hot C5 clutch dual plate. Install bearing inner ring holder on the third layer planet carrier. Install third layer planet carrier. Install the back cover joint surface steel washer and the sealing ring. Install the inner and outer seals on the C5 piston and install the piston into the rear cover. Install the back cover. Install bolts. Fasten the bolts with an 18 mm socket spanner. Timing torque is 100 Nm. The bearing inner ring is heated and installed on the upper shaft. Install speed measuring rotor with the side facing out. Install 2 upper shaft speed sensors. Fasten the bolts with a 13 mm socket spanner and tighten the torque to 28 Nm. Install oil seal. Install output flange, sealing ring, pleasure plate, and bolts. Turn over the transmission and fasten the bolts with a 24 mm socket spanner. Timing torque is 285 Nm. Turn over the transmission and remove the tooling. Install the inner and outer sealing rings on a C3 piston. Attention! The groove side of the sealing ring faces the piston boss side. After applying a lubricating oil, install the C3 piston. Install thruster washer. Install thruster bearing. Inner ring downward. Install the second layer planet carriers. Install thrust bearing and flight spring. Install the sun gear. Remove the C4 clutch backplate fixing bolts. Install a whole C3 clutch dual plate. Put in 4 friction plates and 3 dual plates in sequence. Install 4 springs and spring holder, small and down. Install a whole C3 clutch dual plate. Assemble 2 sealing rings. Install the multi-pipe cover. Install bolts. Fasten the bolts with an 18 mm socket spanner. Tightening torque is 100 Nm. Apply lubricating oil to the center hole of multi-pipe cover. Apply threaded adhesive to 6 bolt holes on multi-pipe cover. Install the C2 clutch hub assembly. Be careful not to damage the outer sealing ring. 6 bolts are coated with thread fastening glue, and the bolts are tightened with Allen wrench. Tightening torque is 28 Nm. Install gear hub. Install thruster washer. Put in 3 friction plates and 3 dual plates in sequence. Install clutch backplate and lock with snap ring. Install the paper washer. Install the C1 clutch assembly into the transmission with the lifting tool. Install retarder assembly with the lifting tool. Install the paper washer. Hit the inner ring of bearing and push it into the bearing. Apply grease and install 4 sealing rings. Install the thruster bearing with the outer ring nut. Install torque converter housing assembly with the lifting tool. Install bolts. Fasten the bolts with an 18 mm socket spanner. Tightening torque is 100 Nm. To lower the trolley and make the oil pan face up, install oil level sensor. Connect the connector. Fasten the bolts with 5 mm Allen wrench. Tightening torque is 14 Nm. Tie wrap fixing harness. Install the filter housing. Use a 16 mm socket spanner to fasten the bolts. Tightening torque is 55 Nm. Install the tubing. Use a 1 5/8 inch spanner to fasten the tubing joint. Tightening torque is 172.5 Nm. Install the bypass line. Use a 13 out of 16 spanner to fasten the tubing joint. Tightening torque is 42 Nm. After applying grease to sealing ring groove of the oil pan, install the sealing ring. Apply Loctite 5900 silicone rubber to part of the joint surface. Install the oil pan. Install paper washer and main control valve partition panel. Install the oil pan bolt. Fasten bolt with a 16 mm socket spanner. Tightening torque is 55 Nm. Fasten bolt with a 13 mm socket spanner. Tightening torque is 13 Nm. Install torque converter oil temperature sensor and quick coupling. Fasten the bolt with a 13 mm socket spanner. Tightening torque is 28 Nm. Install the retarder valve. Fasten bolt with an 18 mm socket spanner. Tighten the torque to 100 Nm. Install the magnetic filter and cover plate. Fasten bolt with a 13 mm socket spanner. Tighten the torque to 28 Nm. Install 6 solenoid valves. Fasten bolt with a 13 mm socket spanner. Tighten the torque to 28 Nm. Turn over the transmission. Install the oil filter seat assembly. Fasten the bolts with a 16 mm socket spanner. Tighten the torque to 55 Nm. Install the controller anti-vibration pad. Install the controller. Fasten the bolt with a 13 mm socket spanner. Tighten torque to 28 Nm. Install the J1 harness connector and use the 4 mm Allen wrench to tighten. Install the wiring harness, related connectors, and the J3 plug. Install the sealing ring. Lifting the torque converter with a lifting tool. Be careful not to damage the sealing ring and oil seal here when lifting the torque converter. Remove the input speed sensor of transmission and clamp the C2 clutch hub with tooling to hold still. Install torque converter plug. Fasten the bolt with 19 mm Allen wrench. Tighten the torque to 285 Nm. Remove the tooling and install transmission input speed sensor. Assembly of FC6A250 series hydraulic automatic transmission is completed.